Now, what exactly is command line argument and how exactly we can use it is something that we may have to understand. So now, if at all, if you see this ls, we type ls, and we can list all the files. And if at all, if I want to move file from one place to the other place, we use something called cp. So let's say I want to copy one file to from one place to the other place. So from here, I want to copy this test.c to my, let's say, home uh, Mango OH desktop. So let's say I want to copy it somewhere else. So what exactly we are trying to do is we are trying to call this program called CP, and we are trying to pass two arguments. That is, this is the first argument which gets passed, and this is the second argument which gets passed. So with this, with the help of this two arguments, this program will be executing taking these two arguments. So these are something called as an command line arguments. So now if I press enter, actually this argument and this argument is sent, and accordingly this CP will work. If at all, if you just don't send any argument, yeah, of course it may say no arguments, and it may say missing file operand. So what exactly it has to do, it will show some error. So what you are trying to do in most of the commands is sometimes you send command line argument, you pass arguments to your main program, and that's where your program executes. So now we can also do that. We can also get the arguments to be passed to our program. So how exactly we can do that is something that we are trying to understand today. So let's have a quick look at what exactly our main program looks like. So we can use nano as our editor, and I'll open my test.c as a quick program. So far what we have seen in our main is we have int, which is a return type of my main, and always we used to have void as an input parameter for my main. Now, instead of having this input parameter as void as for my main, we can pass two parameters. One is something called int argc, that is the number of arguments that you are passing. Let's say you are passing 2 arguments, 3 arguments. So this will tell you the count. And the other one is char star of argv. So what is this argv? It is an array of strings. So whatever you are passing as a strings, whatever arguments you are passing as an argument, it will be coming as an array of string. Let's say you are passing 2 arguments. Argv of 0 will have the first argument, argv of 1 will have the second argument, something like that. But one thing that you have to remember is arg0, that the first element of this array, the first element of this array will always have the name of the program itself. Name of the program itself. So I'll try to explain this in a while. So basically this is an array of strings. The second argument is an array of string, and the first argument is an integer type, which is talking about how many arguments that you are passing. If at all, if you are not passing any argument also, then it will be showing as 1, because by default the name of the executable is itself is passed as an argument. That's what I am trying to say. So if at all, if you are not passing any argument also, this argc will be printed as 1, and the first element of this array will be always the name of the executable itself. So now let us try to print it. So what I'll try to do is I'll say printf, and let me try to print this argument. Number of arguments is %d, and I'll just print argc. So that's what I'll do, and I'll also say printf first element of argv is, and this is always string, so I'll have to print it as %s. And how do I print the first element? Argv of 0. So this will be my first element. So this is how I'll print. I'll just save this and I'll exit from this program, and I'll just compile this. So how do I compile? We already know that gcc. Then I'll have to give my file name, and I'll say minus output it as test. So this is what I'll do. Now to run my program, I'll just say test, and if at all, if you see, the number of arguments is 1. I have not given an /n there, so next time we'll make sure that we give an /n. The first element is actually the name of the executable itself. So that is what is your test. So whatever it comes as here, this will be the first element of that argv. So that is what it is trying to say. So now let us try to pass more arguments. And let us try to simply see how exactly we can pass arguments, and we'll try to write some simple programs. Let's say I want to implement add function. Let's pass two parameters and make sure that we add those things. Or let's say I want to calculate a string length. How exactly we can calculate a string length? I'll just pass a string, and my command line will tell me the length of the string. So that's what we'll try to do. So now first is, let us try to understand this in a little more in detail. So I'll just open again this test.c. So I repeat, the first argument will tell the number of commands. By default it will be 1, and then the second argument is an array of strings, and it will tell you what all arguments that you have passed. So now let us try to pass more arguments. So before that we were not having a proper output, so I'll just put in /n in this, and what I'll do is I'll try to take an int I and counter, and I'll run a for loop for I is equal to 0, then I less than argc. I'll try to print all the argument argc, then I'll say I plus plus. So this is what I'll do. Then I'll try to implement this thing. So I'll say printf, and I'll say my okay. I'll just say what exactly first argument percentage d is percentage yes. So what I am trying to do here is, and I'll put in /n for everything. So what is the argument percentage d? The first element. So I'll say arg, I'll just implement, I'll print I, then I'll also say arg v of I. So what you're trying to do here is, you're trying to iterate for how many elements. You're trying to iterate for our number of arguments. So the number of arguments that you'll be getting is in argc. You are trying to iterate for so many times, and for each and every element, the first one, the I always starts from 0. So argv of 0, similarly argv of 1, argv of 2. So this is how it tries to iterate, and it will try to print all the arguments that you guys are passing to this specific main function. So I'll just say Control S, and I'll exit from this program. Then I'll say GCC. I'll just instead of that, I can just use my up arrow to compile my program. I'll just compile this. Now I'll start passing an argument for this. So let me pass an argument 1, 2, let's say I'll pass Sanjay, and I'll pass Bangalore. So I'll pass. So now how many arguments that I'm passing? I'm passing 4 arguments. So now the total number of arguments it will print as 5, because the first argument itself is the executable name. So it will print number of arguments is 5, and it will start printing all these things one by one. So let us try to do that. I'll just press enter. So the number of arguments, whatever you have, is 5, and the argument 0 is the name of the executable itself. Argument 1, what you have passed is this 1. Argument 2, whatever you have passed is this 2. Argument 3 is something that you have passed as Sanjay. Argument 4 is something that you have passed as Bangalore. So what exactly you are trying to see here is each and every argument is separated by a space. So that's what it is. So you just need to give a space, and you have to pass your parameter. So that's how your argument works.